Just wondering if we could start by talking a little bit about what NEXTDC is up to at the moment.
Sure. Look, it's a big year for the company this year. We're taking on 3 new developments. For the first 5 or 6 years, obviously, we built Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, Canberra and Perth. We've filled the Brisbane, Sydney and Melbourne data centres, and over the last few months we've been preparing for the builds in Brisbane, Sydney and Melbourne. So Brisbane, new 6 megawatt facility, in Sydney a new 30 megawatt facility, and in Melbourne a new 25 megawatt facility. And that's really designed obviously to underpin and support the growth. The company continues to accelerate, and all of the public and private and hybrid cloud platforms are absolutely booming at the moment. So we're running very, very hard for what is going to be one of our biggest years ever as we bring 3 massive scale facilities online.
Fantastic. So in your presentation you were talking about a lot of disruption coming through in the industry. Can you just perhaps summarise the way you see some of this disruption coming through?
Sure. We look at the technology platform providers and obviously the relationships we have with those bigger guys, the type of services that they're providing. The compute platforms get denser. They are providing on-demand elastic computing services for customers. It's becoming very, very easy. If you're a Microsoft customer and you're in Office 365 or you're using Amazon, those platforms are allowing customers to innovate. They're allowing them to avoid the cost of having to buy and manage all of the infrastructure themselves. So we're genuinely seeing a very, very substantial uptake by enterprise, moving large portions of their workloads into the public and private cloud. But at the same time, those enterprises are being left with a portion of their own internal footprint behind. It's legacy systems, it's things that are important for them to protect from an intellectual property point of view. They don't put that in the public or private clouds, and they're having to put those into world-class hyperscale facilities like ours to connect them to the public and private cloud. So that's why we're seeing a huge boom in hybrid computing.
Okay, so NEXTDC obviously very well placed in this sector. What are some of the industries that are going to see transformation?
Look, I think the biggest impacts, if we think about what's going on at the end user level, it's all about mobility. So mobile is driving a massive shift. We've got a whole new segment of the globe coming online. There's billions of new operators. They missed the client-server era of computing. They've gone straight into the mobile internet world. As those additional users come on, they will start to consume those on-demand computing services. We've got billions more people accessing the internet. That is driving both public and private cloud growth. It's also putting enormous stress on the networks that we have that share this information around the world and domestically. So whether it's at the core, providers like ourselves that build the large-scale infrastructure to support the growth of the digital economy, or it's the network providers and others that are able to support those companies moving the data around the world, those, in the context of underlying infrastructure services, are the ones that are absolutely going to benefit right now.
Craig, you mentioned a couple of interesting books that are worth reading. I was just wondering if you could remind our listeners exactly what are some of those books that provide a lot of insight into what's changing in the world.
Yeah, sure. You know, as a company, we have to continue to be lean and agile, and one of the things that we focus on, obviously, is using Eric Ries's the lean startup methodology. And we've got to move quick. We've got to be agile. When you think about the challenges that have faced a lot of these big global companies, the impact of creative destruction or Schumpeter's scale, that they haven't been able to get out of their own way. The old industry has died, and a new industry has taken it over, and we've seen multiple iterations of that happen. You know, I think that even as the company grows, you've got to continue to be lean, you've got to continue to be agile, and you've got to take risk. You know, Reed Hastings always said, if the decisions that you are making in your business aren't painful, they're not really strategic. So, you know, we're always looking at that opportunity to learn from what a lot of those guys have done before. So we use that methodology. The platform revolution is another one. Consumption economics is another one. There's a lot of great material out there that looks at this digital transformation and ultimately why old businesses are dying and new ones are replacing them.